Greetings, friends. This is Dr. Jonathan Ellerby with another live 12 at 12. And I just realized I don't have my microphone on. So today's topic is about your smartphone. And I think we can all agree that our smartphones have done a lot of wonderful things for our lives. There's no doubt about that. I mean, knowing what the weather is 24/7, who could complain? Being able to find out what the news is 24/7, what could be wrong about that? Finding old classmates and discovering what they ate for dinner. Wow. I mean, that's pretty cool. Not to mention all the great stuff that you can find on social media. You know, I never knew that a cat could really drive a car. I thought that was, life-changing. But of course, I'm being a little bit silly here. There's a lot of great reasons why we have our phones and why we depend on them. But in an age where one of the great crimes is what we call identity theft, when someone takes your personal information and then uses it to act as if they were you, usually to shop and spend and acquire things at the expense of your credit and at the expense of your profile and your history. There's another form of theft that happens through the use of smartphones that most people aren't aware of. Now, if you've watched the movie The Social Dilemma, which I've highly recommended, or you have read some of the books that I've recommended, like Digital Minimalism, then you know that our identities or our profiles, our interests, our passions, and our backgrounds are actually being harvested and sold to advertisers and market research companies behind the scenes. That's not the theft that I'm talking about. Probably the biggest concern that I have as a nearly 30-year professional veteran in the health and wellness industry is not about what these big companies are doing with your information and how they're selling you things you don't want. It's actually not even the impact on the brain that your constant use of digital interfaces is costing you, or is you might say having on you, but it's actually all the things that you simply aren't doing because there is a short-term sense that life is being satisfied, or you also could say medicated, by the phone itself. So as we've talked about in some of my other sessions, there are some basic drives we have as human beings, some basic addictive impulses. One is the drive to be rewarded. So the feeling of reward. The next is the feeling of approval. And then we also have the drive towards comfort, comfort from fear, comfort from emotional upset, and comfort from the perception of pain or psychological discomfort. And the smartphone provides short-term solutions for all these things. If you're waiting for an appointment and you're feeling a little bored, well, instead of reflecting on what's not working in your relationship or at work, you can just distract yourself, right? And the distraction itself is compelling because each time you check your phone and you see a little red button notifying you that there's a new feed on LinkedIn or Instagram, or a new like for you on Facebook or wherever it might be, then there's a sense of reward. And of course, we go deeper into that search for reward, and hopefully we find approval. We find approval on our phones in two basic ways. One, people like what we do, literally liking, right, is the phrase. Or, and this is the more nefarious, or you might say devious kind of unseen form of approval that we get, we find that the algorithms that follow our interests start feeding us information that makes us feel like our worldview is correct. like it's the only worldview. So if you believe in climate change, you get all kinds of posts that reassure you you're a part of a good group and we all agree. And if you don't agree with climate change, well, guess what? Your phone's going to actually tell you that that's true. And you're going to get all kinds of news feeds and posts from people who feel just like you. They're not appealing to your interest in objective news. They're appealing to your, pardon me, but intellectual laziness, the innate kind of foolishness of humanity, and the fact that we would rather belong than know what's really true. Now, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. What I'm talking about is why our attention is so strongly pulled away from the real, direct experiences of life. The theft that is unconscious and often unobserved is that we are losing the time, energy, and development that we might be spending, or you could say receiving, from activities that can't happen on a phone. It's my personal opinion, after working for decades in hospitals, health resorts, grassroots communities, large-scale companies, with physicians, nurses, research scientists, research psychologists. From all these years of looking at what it takes to really make someone well, to really make someone resilient, there's no question in my mind that it's not about what you are doing in many cases. It's about what you are not. So sure, you can have a smartphone that helps you go to sleep. You can have a smartphone that helps you relax. You can have a smartphone that helps you meditate. All those things are great. But if your spare moments are spent scrolling, surfing, searching, under the illusion that you're learning about the world, or you're exploring the news, or you're connecting with important people, or you're feeling valued, then you're missing out on something much more important. And that is your direct relationship with life itself. Now, that's a big statement, but what does that really mean? It means that we actually know, not only from spiritual tradition and psychological tradition, but from medical, biological research, that there are things that occur in the lived, in-person experience that cannot be replicated on a screen. So creating beautiful designs for your social media posts is definitely artistic. No question. I love doing that. But it's not the same as picking up a paintbrush. It's not the same as having a spatial relationship with clay or wood or even a collage. There's an entirely different depth and breadth of brain activity and emotional social satisfaction that occurs when you are actually engaged in the materials. The same is true of nature. I have a wonderful application on my phone that shows beautiful pictures of nature and the sound effects. I couldn't love it anymore. It's not the same as sitting by a river, sitting beneath a tree. In fact, we know for a fact that we exchange not only oxygen and carbon monoxide or dioxide with trees, but we are also exchanging chemicals that trigger our healing response, that bolster our immune response. We know that sitting beside a person within even the social distance of 6 feet, if we sit long enough and share, that our hearts, our actual heartbeats entrain. We know that our brain states interface just through the bioenergetic fields that the body emits. And more than that, when we are on a flat screen for our entertainment, for our socializing, for our education, we also lose the richness and complexity of our senses. Now, Most of us know about the five senses, and that's enough to lose the richness of smell and taste and touch. But what about the other 29 senses that science has concluded we absolutely have and depend on for full, rich lives? A sense of temperature, a sense of place and space, a sense of timing. All these different senses are a part of a rich experience of feeling connected to a greater world. All these senses are a part of what makes it possible for us to feel whole, for us to feel healthy, and for us to feel happy. In other words, you can have a fine relationship, a great job, a nice home, and all kinds of entertainment, reward, and distraction on your phone. But if you lack the direct, visceral connection with people, community, nature, creativity, with your full sensory capacity, then you will literally never be able to achieve the heights of human health and happiness. It is impossible. For a short time, sure. You can fool yourself for a short time with just about anything. You can go on a great vacation and life is perfect. You can have a week of success. You can have a year of success. But there is no long-term wholeness and wellness when our lives are robbed of some of the key foundations, factors, and ingredients in total well-being. We are an integrated whole, and to whatever degree we neglect aspects of who we are, leave them unformed, leave them unexamined, unengaged, is the degree to which we will always feel the sense that something is missing, that something is not right in ourselves. And the rates of depression, anxiety, suicide, insomnia, and obesity will continue to climb because you can't get enough of what you don't really need. And I'm sorry, friends, but this thing right here, it's got a lot to offer, but at best, only half the equation to true, lasting health and happiness. So thank you for joining me for this. I hope you share this. I think this is a very, very important message. If you want to learn more about my work, go to jonathanellerby.com. There's all kinds of free stuff there right now. And please subscribe to my YouTube page. It's a very helpful way to show your appreciation. And I hope we'll connect again soon. Take care. Be well.